Of course. Fudge. Alright. Forgive me for this. I'm sure this will make some people sick. Uh, okay. Eh. Portrait mode's fine. Wasn't expecting it, but for the size of the Greatbassoon, it works. All right. Hello, everybody. How's everyone doing? Hey, yes, sweetheart, you're back. I haven't seen from you in quite some time. Hi. So I am going to be partaking of the giant glass of seltzer water throughout the whole thing. It's like the worst summer I have ever had in Texas in my almost 42 years now. It is constantly 105 to 108 degrees every day, and well, I'm completely dehydrated. I'll probably finish 2 of these before the live stream's over. But the reason I'm dehydrated is every day for the past 7 days I have been out. Volume is a little low. I'm on my cell phone. What the heck? How did it do that? Seriously? Tell you what, let me go grab something if volume is low, because I do have an external mic I can use. All right, let's see if this is going to be any better. How is the volume now? Is it any better? Maybe. Or maybe there is no volume. Test 1, 2. Okay, good. Yeah, so, yeah, I'll just make sure to use that little pickup mic. So, yeah, so yeah, it's been rough. I've been getting home from work every day and basically spending an hour and a half in the garage from like 6 to 7:30, maybe 8, and even then it's still north of 100 degrees, and I'm just I probably lost 5 pounds this week working in the garage easily. But the good news is that in all that time, I have been doing a lot of work on the Greatbassoon, getting a lot of things done on it. And part of that is my friend Adam Gilberti reached out to me and said, "Hey, we're doing a concert first week of November in Glendale, California, and I have parts for Greatbassoon. Will it be ready?" It's like, no, it won't be ready. That's 3 months away. There's no way I could be finished with this thing in 3 months. And I played it out. Okay, if I finish the bass joint by August 15th, the wing joint by August 31st, and then the boot joint by October 1st, that gives me a month to practice. Maybe I could. And then, so I said, well, what the hell? Let's actually do this. Let's sit down and put my button gear and start getting this done. So one of the first things I had to do is a final design of the keywork for the boot joint. The boot joint still is in a primitive stage. It only has the tone holes on it. It has no post positions put in. If you remember, all the posts are integrated into the body. So what I did is I sat down for a day, maybe two, and I did a complete mock-up of the keywork for the boot joint. And let me zoom in a little bit. Maybe you can see this. I have my fan going here. And I've got basically the full keywork designed for the boot joint. And I've got it all color coordinated. I've simplified some things. I've taken some things out. For instance, I've finally decided to take out the alternate, the front B flat key. I just couldn't find a way to make it work. I have taken out the B flat to G clutch, whereby the third finger closes the B flat key. So B flat key is now just standard. G key is standard. There's no extra mechanisms there. Turns out, just from some of the simple play tests I've done, I don't. Yeah, the video compression. There are higher quality images on my Instagram of that image. I'll put them on. But that, so the keywork is pretty much all designed. There are a few things on there that are a little different. Simplify things as much as possible, make it as easy to build, but also have a few things. All right, is there a reason why you kept the Greatbassoon bell straight as opposed to curving it downward like a contrabassoon? Okay, yes, that is simplicity of building factor, really. If I were to curve the bell down, making the keywork would become much more difficult. As is, everything is straight. But with the bell as is, it becomes more difficult. Now, if I had just done a low B flat on here and not worried about the low A, it wouldn't be nearly as cumbersome. In fact, let me just pull the Greatbassoon here. And so yeah, you can see all the way to the top. If I did just a low B flat bell, it would come to about here. Just a little past the low A tone hole. That wouldn't be nearly as bad. And then we may do an alternate low B flat bell. But one of the things with that is I'm not sure how it would affect the tuning. So, because everything's been tuned with the low A bell. But we'll see. Maybe I'll convince Jared to do an alternate low B flat bell design. But the as is. So if you remember anything about the design of it, the instrument is in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 joints, not counting the vocal. The bell is complete. It, of course, only has the 2 keys on it, the low A key and the low B flat key, just like on the bassoon. Very simple. Just a couple moving parts. That's been done for quite some time. The bass joint is a divided bass joint, so split into 2 parts. This is what I have been working on all week, and this has now most of the metal on it. It is a heavy sucker. The more metal I put on it, the heavier it gets. And there's still more to come, because not all of the keywork parts are fully on here yet. There's some touch pieces missing, so you can see over here I've got the array for low E flat, low D flat, and low A. There's no touch pieces on them, just bars. And then there's some linkages in this area that are missing, as well as the touch piece for the low B flat. What I was working on this morning that just about killed me from heat exhaustion was the low B natural key. And I'm going to bring this in really close because I'm pretty happy with the design work on the low B key. I've designed this with a leaf motif. So low D, low C, and this is low B here. And the low B, I wanted to look kind of, well, there we go. That'll be a little bit better view. Firm. And the B flat key will be a mirror image of that, or something similar. So it'll look like that. And then the thumb keys for the wing joint will have a similar motif. But basically all the key work here is on. This is what's taken me basically all week to really sit down and get working. Obviously there's a lot here, and none of it's regulated. There are no corks, there's no felts on here. Well, for instance, right now I'm looking at the low B flat, the B natural key itself, and you know, it's got a lot that could, like, I press down the low B touch piece, and it does not close all the way the pad cup here. Then that's because there's no corks, no felts on it. So, like, this would get lowered down quite a bit here, and that gets raised up, and then boom, that should close down all the way with the right amount of material. But this is a complex joint, and it always has been a complex joint, because you've got five. On this particular instrument, you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pad cups that are all going to close in unison, because the E flat and D flat keys are reverse sprung. They're linked to other keys. So one mechanism I'm actually really pretty happy with is the low D flat interchange. If you can see here, this is a reverse sprung low D flat key, so that when the low B natural is depressed, the pad cup will actually close. This is reverse of what is on a normal bassoon. My personal bassoon has it. And something that I'm really pretty happy with is this little ball bearing roller here. Makes for a completely frictionless motion. If you hear some movement, it's friction from another point where I just need to put a little bit of Teflon on to quiet it down. The main thing that really needs to be finished on here, other than the touch pieces, is there's a bridge from the E flat touch piece to the E flat pad cup, which will be a similar design to the low D flat key. And then there's a little clutch here so that the C will close the E flat key. And that'll probably get done here the next couple days. Otherwise, the bass joint is getting near completion, which means, you know, the lower part of the Great Bassoon will be ready to go probably by the end of the month. The wing joint. Let's move on to the wing joint. Set this down. And guys, if you do have any questions, let me know as we go along, and I'm gonna get a little bit more rehydrated there. Okay, so I've been doing a lot of experiments with the wing joint. So let's go ahead and take that off. And this is a brand new wing joint from the last time I did any updates. And I actually can't remember when the last update I did was. And one of the things I did is I did an experiment with 3D printer settings. And that setting was, let's see what happens if I print the whole thing solid. So I had been printing this with about 5 layers, and each layer being 0.16 millimeters. So the whole thing had a wall of like, is that 0.8? Yeah, 0.8 millimeters thick, and then had, 20% infill. So pretty lightweight, pretty uh, well, just pretty light, I guess. Yeah, that's. Sorry, brain not working. Too hot. So this, however, is printed 100% solid. So it's like double the weight of the original wing joint, and it does darken up the sound just a little bit. And so from here on out, all wing joints will be 100% solid. This has given me the opportunity to do a little bit more experimenting. One thing I did discover is that the placement of the middle octave vent was about 33 millimeters too high. I moved it down, and the notes spoke much, much better. Now, the other thing is, and this is going to be a major one small little thing is the third finger tone hole. What is called the low D tone hole, or the D tone hole, not low D, has been put on a little riser here. And that mimics the plateau here. And it basically lengthens the chimney of the tone hole, darkens it, and flattens it. It was just wildly sharp. Even after all the work we'd done, it just kept going sharp, and I wasn't happy with it. So we put it on a 5 millimeter riser, and it went from like 45 cent sharp to almost dead on in tune. Hair sharp, but it's going to have a pad over it, and that pad will flatten it. And that's what pads do, they flatten notes. So everything has been tuned a little bit on the sharp side. Now, the other thing that I have done is a complete redesign of the octave system. And this took a couple days of brainstorming to figure it out. But what it's going to be is, instead of 3 independent octave keys, one that's going to function from G to B, one that will function from C to E flat, and then one that will function for E and F. The top 2, basically all notes from C to F, are going to be operated by one key that will operate and close the 2 different tone holes. And the way that'll work is there's going to be a ring around the second finger. That ring will be open if the second finger is up, closed if the second finger is down. Bassoon players will be familiar with a ring on the 3rd finger of the left hand. Well, now the great bassoon is going to have it on the 2nd finger of the left hand. And this is completely for the octave system. And it means that I can completely delete the touch piece for the upper vent. And so there's only going to need to be 3 touch pieces for the left thumb on the wing joint, which is a real advantage. One fewer key, and the technique becomes a lot easier. It means that basically, my thumb doesn't have to move between C and F. And now it does. I'm still going to have the 2 octave keys. There is a way to actually incorporate it and make it a triple octave system, one key operating all 3 vents. But the problem there is, once you go into the next octave up, it doesn't work anymore, so you need something else. This way, I can play chromatically up to a written high E flat 5. That's the E flat at the top of the treble clef, written, sounding B flat 4, the bassoon's top B flat. Just perfectly fine with the 2 octave keys, and I've played up there several times, and it works just fine. I will have to figure out, really good resonant fingerings and things to bring it in tune a little more, but it works really well. The other thing, real quick, is reeds. So I make, let me get the whole thing reassembled. I make no pretense that I'm not a fantastic reed maker. Never have been. And so reeds are a real sticking point here, because without a good reed, this instrument's nothing. I can make it mechanically perfect all day long, but if I can't make a reed for it, we got issues. And I don't have a lot of the reed making tools anymore. Like, I don't have my dial indicator anymore. I sold that years ago. I don't have a profiler anymore. Never had a gouger. So my friend Richard Murray, I was talking with him on some mechanical stuff. He's done a lot of key building and whatnot. Offered to make some reeds for me. So if you've listened to some of my videos lately, you've probably noticed that the Greatbassoon sounds pretty bright, and I keep getting these comments. What are you going to do to make the sound darker? Which, does come across as a little bit rude, but, that's the internet for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first show off my reed that I've been using. And this is basically as dark as I could get with what I've got. Let's see. Let's raise that up just a little bit more. I gotta watch for the ceiling fan. That's why I've got extra tone holes plugged down here. That shouldn't be that out of tune. Hey, that should be better. So that's my reed, and that's made with contrabassoon, gouged and profiled cane on Richard Bobo's custom Greatbassoon shaper. But my friend Richard Murray offered to make some reeds. Now this is still wildly unfinished because he built these, having never seen the instrument, knowing no specs about it other than some brief measurements I gave him. So let's just see. I haven't played this reed in a couple of days. And I'm doing everything to really kind of control it right now, because what I ended up having to do is Richard purposely made it quite a bit long. And so I had to then take it down, and I took down nearly 5 millimeters off of it. Now, if you take down any reed 5 millimeters, it's going to be a lot thicker. And so this is really very, very thick. But you can hear there is a different sound quality, and part of that is that the throat, the area here, particularly second reed, first reed, is a lot lighter. This is based more on contrabassoon proportions. Compare that to my reed. And so, yeah, you can definitely hear a sound difference on there. Yeah, but I've got to do a lot of work on that reed. Now, he actually sent me 3, pretty much identical, and I will get those taken down, broken down, and really filed down to my playing preferences on there. But I've got some reeds to work with that are not mine. Yeah, so the instrument is coming along quite a bit. Yeah, it's definitely a solo voice right now. I need it to get more ensemble voice. So that's going to obviously take a while. But I'm going to get there. Let's see, do we have any other questions that I can field? So, how long did it go? Nearly 30 minutes. It's not too bad. But so far, I'm pretty happy with the progress. And if there are no more questions, I'll go ahead and end it. I've got a rehearsal here in a couple hours. Not on bassoon, on saxophone, so it'll be fun. But yeah, if there's no other questions, I'll go ahead and end the stream now, and I will see you guys later. You gotta take the bell off before I even think about moving across the room. Otherwise, it's getting chopped by the fan.